started. Okay, that was a really long pause. That was super awkward. Hello and welcome to our Austentatious live show for Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. Almost said one of the other Brontes. Charlotte Bronte. That is what we read for February and March. So because it was a longer book, we stretched it into 2 months. And we read it, and now we're going to talk about it. So hello, I am Zoe from Read by Zoe. You're on my channel right now. Hello.
Hi, I'm Natasha from Tashopolis.
I'm Maureen from Maureen Kiwi.
I'm Hannah from A Clockwork Reader.
Yay. All of the channels are down below in the description box, so definitely check all of them out. They're super cool. So, what do you want to talk about first? Well, this just, did you all like it? I really liked it. I give it 5 out of 5 stars. I had no idea what to expect because I didn't have to read this in high school or anything, and I've never seen any of the adaptations, and I didn't know anything about it. I knew that it was kind of depressing. That's all I knew. But I was very pleasantly surprised, especially after, I think it was a really great book to read after Jane Austen, because it was good, like, it was similar-ish, because it was in the 1800s in England, but that was about it. What did you guys think?
I think it's interesting that you hadn't even heard of the story because it's just such a well-known story with my family. I've never read it personally, but I've seen, until now, obviously. I finished it yesterday. But I have seen all the different versions. Like, I just watched a new TV show, or that was in 2008, and I've seen all the different movies. But I think this is my favorite classic. I loved it so much. It's crazy that we've been on this crazy classical ride, and I'm loving each book. I love Sense and Sensibility, but I love that one so much. But I so enjoyed this book and all the different characters and how rich they were, and
rich characters, not like money. I was like, you like how
and I just enjoyed it. I wish I didn't know all the big twists going into reading it for the first time, because I had watched all the adaptations. I think that would have made my reading experience better. But I still enjoyed it, and I don't know. It was so much easier for me to read, compared to the Jane Austen novels. Anyone feel that?
Yeah. I felt the same way.
I listened to the audiobook, so I don't really know. But.
Yeah.
Yeah, I listened to the book, but I read the last 100 pages.
To get it done.
Yeah.
Well, I've read Jane Eyre a lot. I think this is my 3rd or my 4th time. I'm not 100% sure. I know for sure I've read it twice, but I think I've read it more than that.
When did you first?
So in high school. I didn't read it for school, but actually this is funny. I was a very singular, moody person in high school, and my best friend recommended this book because she was like, "You were like Jane Eyre," and I was like, "Okay." And then I got to the part, the comparison part. It's spoilery, so I won't actually go in depth until later. But the comparison part with her and the other person, and I was like, that's me. When I was in high school, that was definitely me. So I was like, I get it. But I really like like Natasha said, the characters are super, super developed, I think, because there are so few really main characters. You really get a sense for who they are. And they're also I feel like this book is 100% your fave is problematic, because everybody is super problematic and really there's a lot of things I noticed going into this time. I was like, yeah, that's pretty racist right there. All right, cool, here we go. And so everybody, it's a flawed character, but in a way that I like, whereas I hated Wuthering Heights, where everyone is they're flawed but they mean well. Maybe that's the difference, because in Wuthering Heights just everyone is out to get everyone else. But I really really like this book a lot. It's one of my favorite classics. I think I actually like Sense and Sensibility more now after rereading it. But this has always been one of my favorite classics. I've read it a lot. 10 out of 10 would recommend.
Yeah, I really, really love this one too. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars too. And I really like gothics. I just like dark things. So this one was really enjoyable for me in that way. Again, I really like the characters. I like the fact that they're flawed. And I, unlike Maureen, really loved Wuthering Heights. So getting to see like the comparison between the two sisters' books was also really cool for me because I'd only seen like one of the adaptations before, so I knew the general story, but I actually didn't expect to like the book as much as I did. Like the writing was just so good. And I thought that it would be like really hard for me to get through. Like you were saying, Natasha, this one was actually like way easier for me to read. And it was just so good. It was so poetic. I loved Jane Eyre as a character. And yeah, I love this book.
Agreed.
Yeah. Wait. Hold on. Oh, if you're watching this, comment in the live chat with questions that you want to ask us about anything, really. We'll just answer it. I mean, not anything, but like related to books or other questions. Or you can message us on Twitter. You can tweet at us questions that you want us to answer. So, like Hannah was starting, who is your favorite characters? And who is your least favorite character? So favorite and least favorite. I don't know yet. You go first, Natasha.
I don't know. Maureen goes. She's read it 3 times.
Okay. I think this time around, okay, I just want to say Saint John, but whenever I'm listening to the audiobook, they say St. John. It's so weird. And it throws me off.
And then I looked on there and they said St. John. I'm like, who the heck is St. John? Where's St. John right now?
St. John. We need that. I wanted to ask, like, how does St. John, how is that St. John?
Maybe with a really thick English accent. But not. I don't know.
Probably because they're all like Catholic, so they probably want to separate Saint something from pronouncing like a person's name as like a clergy, because he's not a saint particularly. He's like, that's just like his clergy name. That's how I understood it. So that's the only thing that I can think of as the separation is like Saint Mary, and then trying to separate out someone's name like St. John, whatever, and that he's not a saint. He's not actually a saint.
Zoe and I look so confused.
But I thought like his given name was Saint John.
No.
I don't know. And then there were so many Johns in this. And there was another thing. There was Miss Fairfax, and there was Jane, and I was like, Jane Fairfax, like, Emma? I'm like, no. Do they only have like a few names back in the 1800s in England? Because there's like always a Jane, always a Mary. Like, I'm getting confused.
I mean, there was both that.
I think they just had very particular names that were very popular, and so you just like see them over and over again. Yeah.
There's too many Johns.
Anyway, fave characters, back on track. I mean, I really love Jane because she's just so like, I feel like you don't actually know if she's like a plain person or not, because like obviously she has 2 marriage proposals in this book. So granted, they're not really under the best circumstances, but still. Pretty much. But I really, really love her as a character. I think every time I read it, my hate for St. John is solidified. And just like there's one line in particular where he's like proposing to her, or like she turns him down, and he like goes back to talk. He's like circling back around in the argument. He's like, you know, if you turn me down, it's God's, like, you're turning down God's will. And I was like, excuse you. And like, it's hard because I don't think that he meant it as like, I mean, I don't think he was like just trying to get with her. He really sincerely believed that that was God's will for her life. But he's I just like, he's a very complex character, but he's probably my least, well, he's not really my least favorite because the reads are all the worst, but you like kind of barely see them after the first third of the book. So Mrs. Reed is pretty bad. Yeah.
St. John was like really well. All of the characters, like they were really complicated because St. John, At first he was the one who like let Jane in, so you're like, oh, he's a good guy, and then it's like, wait, he's not, but then he is, but then
He's
also
a
not.
good guy.
Yeah, he's a very complicated character, but
I don't know. I don't with St. John. Oh gosh, I want to say St. John. I didn't hate him. I think I understood him, and I understood like where he was coming from. But at the same time, I'm just like, no, you don't need to be with Jane. Just obviously, you're just good by yourself if you just want to drag people into your endeavors. But I don't know. I really my most hated scene of St. John when he was reading Revelations and like looked up at Jane being like, you're gonna be the one who's going to hell, you're not gonna be written in the book of life. I read Revelations last year, so I was like, I know what he's talking about, but you're wrong. Sorry. But my favorite character is Edward Rochester. I just think,
of course, I literally when I knew we were reading this book, I was like, Natasha's gonna love this book. She loves this like trope. It's like a play on that trope, but you love that trope so much. And I was like, I knew that you were gonna love Rochester. Like, I mean, obviously you probably already did from the adaptations, but like I was like, Natasha is gonna love him so much.
Yeah, no, I did. I just it was good. I didn't like how he played with Jane there for a while with what's her face.
Bertha? What's her name?
Blanche. And also Bertha. Both
yeah.
and.
Yeah,
but
like
mostly Blanche.
Like, bad names. Just
for me,
it's funny. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no problem. For me, I agree with Maureen. Jane is my favorite character too. I just really like what Charlotte Bronte did with her character development, like how she had to go through everything with Mr. Rochester at first, and then that was like not enough of her like development. Like she had so much more to go through. Like obviously not like no spoilers, but like there's just so much depth to that, like her story in general and her character.
Yeah.
And I loved that about it. Like I feel like it's not something you see that often anymore, or it's not something I've read about that often, like a character who has that much development and in such like a complicated way. And yeah, the reads are terrible. And honestly, I don't think I really have a least favorite character. I like the way that everyone's kind of a little bit messed up. I think it makes it more fun.
Yeah. I think Jane's my favorite because you get to see her from such a young age to like 10 years after she was married. I think that's when she's writing the book, and you don't see that a lot, especially like after reading Jane Austen, because I think it was only Mansfield Park, but that was like kind of like we got some of it and then like it jumped forward. But I really like that. And at first I was like she's all moody, and then I'm like, wait, like it's justified because she has a terrible life. And yeah, I think everyone was awful in their own way, and I like that. But I didn't know what to feel because at first, now we're gonna get like more spoiler section, I guess.
Were we supposed to be non-spoiler? Because I didn't.
Sorry, I kind of did spoilers too.
I've never done that before. Like we've been doing spoilers, whatever. But after, because at the beginning there's the reads, and I'm like, I hate them all so much, especially John. Was that the one who threw the book at her?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I hate him. I want him to die. And then things happen. I'm like, wait, no, I didn't actually mean it. But I just like, how did you feel when like she went back to the Reeds, and then what's her face, Mrs. Reed, like still wouldn't be nice to her, like forgive her or anything. How did you feel about that? Because I thought it really showed like how she'd grown as a character, like going back to where she like was punched down and like.
Well, I think, I mean, obviously, like Mrs. Reed, like was very vengeful and got her revenge on this young little girl who, she didn't treat her nicely. I loved at the beginning of the book where like she told her off. That's not really in any of the adaptations. And yeah, a lot of like,
Powerful though.
usually sometimes adaptations don't start at the Reed's house, they start at the school, and you get to see like how horrible the school is, and then they totally cut out everything with St. John and his sisters, and but not in the TV shows because those are bigger, but like they just kind of like, they're like, oh, she found family and became an heiress, blah blah blah, and then she goes back to Edward. So I really like seeing those parts of the books because I've never experienced that in the adaptations. But I just, you could just see how mature Jane was, like, regarding the situation with her aunt. That's her aunt, right?
Yeah.
And she did she forgive her? I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She said she forgave her, but her aunt wouldn't accept her apology. That was like the difference. Like her, and which doesn't make, I mean, her aunt was such a weird character that she was like very vengeful and lying on her deathbed. It was like almost like she wanted just the pain that, like, because she had caused so much pain, but she also just was still really vengeful. It was whatever.
But why did she hate the little kid so much? Was it because
it was because her husband, she said it when she did her like monologue to Jane. Her husband treated Jane better than her kids, and she didn't like Jane from like the first. She didn't want her there, but then her husband like took so much care with her and like treated her better than the kids he already had. And I think that's like where the spite started, and it just kind of like spiraled, especially because she made like a deathbed promise that she didn't really want to make. I think it just kind of like spiraled.
But I do like that scene though. And I wish it was in the adaptations because it's just like, she's a little like 9, 11, like a kid, and she's like standing up to the enemy. I like a lot. So,
I like how Mrs. like the aunt was like backtracking. She's like, no, you don't need to say anything to anyone else about this. She knew she was wrong.
Yeah.
So what are you gonna say?
I don't know. I don't know. We got off topic. I forget where we were.
I mean, we can talk about some of the things that I feel like the last couple times that I read this, I was either a very young booktuber or I like hadn't started booktube the last couple times that I read this. And I feel like I'm more aware of the things that I'm like, wow, all right. Like, obviously, Bertha is like a awful, terrible portrayal of probably mental illness. We don't really know, but it's a real, like, she's more of a symbol and more than like a plot device than a person, but her portrayal of mental illness is super bad. And then, but it's also like that's honestly probably how mental illness was dealt with in that time period. It was
all then like and then like shove them away. No one thinks about them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, literally,
and then
yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
She depicted her like on all fours, and she was like, "She's a beast." I'm like,
isn't she? She's also described as like dark skinned and dark haired, right?
Yeah, she was cool.
Yeah, and
she was from Jamaica.
Yeah, basically, it's like equating like dark skinned people with like animal traits and animal tendencies, which was it was like it's very racist.
Really, it's super racist.
Mental, it was.
Yeah, so there's that, and there's the gypsy that like Rochester straight up does blackface to become a gypsy and like fool his entire things, and it's just like one of those things where you're like, you know, like a younger me probably thought this is like weird, this isn't good, but an older me is like, wow, this is super bad. It's super racist.
Yeah.
But yeah.
In
so
the
like one.
In the
Sorry, keep going.
In the TV show adaptation I just watched from BBC, like they actually have a gypsy there. Like he's like behind the curtain, so you know it's bad when they totally change it in the TV show.
Yeah.
I read. Oh, sorry.
Keep going. You're good.
Oh, I read something that it like said that Bertha was supposed to be like a device to show like the Victorian wife or whatever, and like her revolting against marriage during the Victorian time, because when she like she rips the veil and like
yeah. I've read a bunch of different things about like, because Jane is my favorite character, but I really like Bertha, and I just like think she's really interesting. So I was reading about her character after I finished it, and there's like different interpretations of like what she represents. Some people say it's like British colonization. Some people have said that she's like supposed to be some kind of like parallel for Jane, in the sense that Jane ends up becoming like the good wife, and Bertha is like the like antithesis to what is considered like a good wife and who is like pure, because she's like sexualized. So I don't know. I just think it's like really interesting. But yeah, I definitely think that there is some of that, especially with like the whole tearing the veil scene and all of that.
Didn't Rochester say something that like he said never mind. But wait, what was I saying? Sorry, keep going. I need to like I
Rochester said something that something. But yeah,
answer my own question. You guys keep talking.
Maureen, what else did you find?
Those were like
the two
main things. It's also like, I mean, obviously like missionaries of that era had a very like white savior complex kind of a attitude of going and saving, which is just like old missions is like that a lot. And you're just like, I mean, obviously the crusade, can we not? So it's just like, there's a lot of those things that you're like, it's definitely like a product of the culture and of who is writing this book, and like those people are portrayed that way because of who is writing this book, and it's just like good to note and be like, well, that's not great at all. Those are the main like two things that I was thinking of, but also like St. John is just St. John.
The worst portrayal of a Christian you could ever imagine. At least that's what I thought. Yeah.
I also want to take. Oh, sorry. Keep going.
Sorry, someone asked her a question. Samantha Ramirez asked, do you think that Jane Eyre is a feminist book or not? And do you think that Jane or Bertha are feminist characters? I think that it could be considered a feminist book, because although she does like get married eventually, she really like, I like that she walked out of the marriage like when she didn't feel comfortable. Like she walked away from Rochester because she didn't feel like, she felt like they were on equal footing and that she would feel like inferior to him, and also the Bertha and all that. But she really does like become a stronger character. Like you can definitely see like throughout this, and I don't know. I think it could be. I mean, it's not like hardcore feminist, but
I think it really depends on like the way that you analyze it and like what parts of it you're analyzing. Like specifically, and for its time, absolutely, Jane is not your regular female heroine. Like she is completely different from the stereotype that they would have of that time of what should be a good woman, because she stands up for herself constantly in a lot of very explicit ways. And yeah, she knows what she wants and then she goes after it. So it's kind of like, I think we got this question when we were talking about one of the Jane Austen books. I think it was Emma. Yeah. And like whether Emma is a feminist book. And again, I think it's the same type of thing. Like for the time, there are definitely things about her character that are very feminist and very forward thinking. But I think if you look at it in like modern context, I don't think Bertha's character is very feminist. I don't think the portrayal of people of color in the book is very feminist. So yeah, it's complicated. It can be analyzed in that way for sure. In some ways, some parts of it, but yeah, it just really depends. I don't know.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, keep going.
Do you think Rochester is a feminist?
I would say
he has a woman chained up in his like what's it called, attic or whatever. So I don't know.
It'd be there.
I think if you're like, I wouldn't say it's a feminist book, but like characters wise, for the time, I would say Jane is like she's not like the perfect portrayal of someone who is a feminist, but she like does a lot of things to like make herself equal, make her thoughts and her feelings known, and stick up for herself throughout the whole book. Even when she's younger in this school, she's like, nah, y'all are crazy. I'm gonna like tell it like it is, even though she probably should just like chill out a little bit. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's a feminist book, but it's like one of those things like where you're like, for its time, yes, now, no.
Yeah. Agreed.
Agreed. Oh, Fangirl Noir said, she walks out and returns on her own terms, so I think that she really becomes her own person. Even when she comes back at the end and gets married to him, it's on her own terms, which is what I was trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very true.
I also, sorry.
RM said, how do you feel about the idea that Bertha represents Jane's repressed anger / resentment? I like that idea as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different things that Bertha could be.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was, one of the other things that I was like looking at too with her character. Yeah, like in the sense that she's kind of like a parallel for Jane sometimes. It's like what Jane, some of the like emotions Jane wishes she could express are in Bertha, and we get to see those through her character. So yeah, I really think that was like a cool dynamic that she had written in there. And that's why I thought Bertha's character was so interesting.
Yeah.
And again, it's like something I haven't really read about before in such like obviously problematic, but also like just explicit way that you can completely see how much Jane is actually struggling with like what she's feeling. I don't know. It was just really good.
Well, yeah, she was feeling uneasy about the marriage.
Yeah.
A rip of the veil. Especially because Rochester was like trying, like it was a really expensive veil, and he was like spending all his money on her, and she was like, and then the rip. I see it.
Just want to take this moment to say there is a web series adaptation of this book that is great. I think it's called, hold on, I'm going to find it. But it's a really, really good adaptation. I really like a lot of the things that they did with how they adapted certain things.
Is it the autobiography of Jane Eyre?
Yes, that one. It's really good. And instead of a drawer, she's a photographer. And she goes to tutor a like girl who's gifted in that house. That's how like that whole thing happens.
I'm tweeting.
She also like, I think it doesn't start out with her childhood, obviously, but she does like go back to her like childhood home and stuff. And like, it's a really, really good adaptation. I really like it. I was like, other video resources. There's a really like interesting, it's kind of funny. I think it's, who did it? The people who did, Kissing in the Rain and
Yulin Kim?
It's not Yulin, but it's Shipwrecked comedy. They've done like 2 Bertha music videos, and one of them was at VidCon, and it's about her like getting out of the house. There's like one where she's like in the attic singing a pop song that's like relevant and I can't remember, but then there's one of her at VidCon, and it's really funny.
Oh my god, I have to see that.
So I was like, video resources for you guys.
It's the web series. I'm not like, wait, shit.
Okay, Bertha's Attic Song. It's a Disney Princess Jane Eyre parody. And then a very shipwrecked VidCon like continues that.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna watch that afterwards. Are there any other Tangled Bertha? Is that
like Bertha is
it a Tangled song?
Oh yeah, it might be When Will My Life Begin? I wonder if that's what it is. Let me look really fast.
Someone commented on this.
Oh, yep, it's When Will My Life Begin?
Wait, that's a perfect song. Oh my gosh.
And then the comment says, Bertha Mason tries to pass the time in her attic while Mr. Rochester woos Jane Eyre.
Okay, Maureen, your door keeps opening and closing, and I'm sure people are wondering what the heck is happening.
I'm sorry, my dog is freaking out, and she keeps like leaving and coming back and leaving and coming back. I'm just gonna close it, but she'll like
Tinkerbell.
she makes noise. My mom's not home, so she just gets really like antsy when there's only one person home, and I haven't been home for that long.
I also read something where people said like, did she become insane like before and then she was put in the attic, or was she just put in the attic and then she like got insane?
Oh, I guess wait, does the story not explain it?
It says that she had like a predisposition for it because of her mom was in a mental asylum.
Well,
okay.
Sorry, they lived in Jamaica before they lived in England, and like things were happening in Jamaica before they moved to England, and he put her in the attic. That's how I understood it.
Well, what actually in the BBC version they showed they like kind of showed a sex scene, which I was like, whoa, this is BBC. They showed their like when Rochester was talking about Bertha, it was like we got married and then we found out. Then I found out that her mom was was in a mental asylum, and then Bertha started showing signs, and like they showed like Bertha like having sex with random people. I was like, wow.
Oh,
yeah, I know.
Where'd Hannah go?
I don't know.
Hannah.
Oh, her wife got cut out.
Oh, goodbye, Hannah, forever. I need to watch that.
I hope she can come back.
Hopefully. People are saying everyone watched Edgar Allan Poe's Murder Mystery Party. Have you guys seen that?
Oh, I haven't. I've been wanting to watch it.
It's so good. It has
Mary-Kate Wiles, and it has Ashley Clements.
Yeah.
And what's his name? The guy who plays Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah.
Sinad Persuade, and then also the girl who plays Bertha is in it, is his sister.
And Ethan Kraft from Lizzie McGuire's in it.
What? I didn't realize that he was in it. Oh my goch! Like I don't know.
Familiar. Wait. Yes.
That's amazing.
What is this?
What?
What is this?
Oh, it's like a murder mystery party with like a bunch of like writers from so there's Charlotte Bronte. I think does Ashley Clements play Charlotte Bronte? Emily Bronte?
So.
One of the Brontes? One of the Brontes.
They did a Kickstarter for it, and then that's how it happened. But it's just got a lot of people from like Lizzie Bennet Diaries and like that time of Pemberley Digital that I follow still and kind of like see what they're up to. So I wanted to watch it, I just hadn't yet. But
the actress who plays Jane is in it for one episode, and she plays Jane Austen. Fun fact.
Wait, who? Who plays Jane?
In Lizzie Bennet
Autobiography? Oh, Lizzie Bennet Diaries.
Yes. There are too many names. Sorry. Wireless Memory said, I read an analysis that Bertha shows symptoms of Huntington disease.
What is that?
A disease. Which I don't know. I've never heard of it before.
Here, I'll Google it. You have? What is it?
I don't know. I just heard of it.
Okay, I'll Google it because I have no idea what this is.
I think I've heard of it on like House before or something. Oh, hi, Jessie. What's up?
Oh, Jessie's here.
Our very
Huntington disease is a fatal genetic disorder that causes progressive breakdown of nerve cells in the brain.
She could, if it's a genetic disorder.
It deteriorates a person's physical and mental abilities during their prime working years and has no cure. And it says people inherit the disease. Oh, HD is known as a quintessential family disease because every child of a parent with HD has a 50-50 chance of carrying the faulty gene.
Wow. It could be.
Many describe the symptoms of HD as having ALS, Parkinson's, and Alzheimer's simultaneously.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. Let's talk about something happier. Okay.
So
ask questions in the chat about anything.
So Natasha, tell me all about how you liked Rochester, because I want to hear your take on this, because I was like, literally, that was one of the things I knew was going to be talked about from you.
I don't know. I like that he was like tall, dark, and broody.
Okay,
He
guys,
was
I'm going to
all-
have to
he
open the
was
door
so-
again because my dog is freaking out.
It's okay. He was so mean to her. Like when they like first met, out on the road. He called her a witch.
He also called her a sprite and a fairy a lot,
Yeah,
which
he
are
did.
not necessarily great things.
No. I don't know. I mean, I I liked it at the same time. You know how she was like dealing with her feelings like first before she left. I just thought like the declarations of love were so satisfying in this story. And they actually kissed, which is something.
I know.
No, we didn't see that in any of the Jane Austen books. Like, I mean, not really.
A little bit.
A little bit, but like there was a lot of kissing in this book, which I noticed a lot. Also, I don't understand these like older authors using words like ejaculated. I'm like, ew, stop.
Um,
What I noticed.
I feel like there's a lot of really good quotes from this book. Like there's the quintessential Jane Eyre quote. Well, there's two quintessential Jane Eyre quotes. One of them is "Reader, I married him." That you see a lot. And then also, I am no bird, no net ensnares me, which I love that because it's like right in the middle of the definition. He's really like, I'm just gonna like keep you by my side forever. And she's like, no, 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 no. That's not how that works. There's just a lot of really great moments and like writing things from the author that like really are just like so powerful in and of themselves that I really love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, there's a quote back here. It says, "It is vain to say human beings ought to be satisfied with tranquility. They must have action. They will make it if they cannot find it."
I love that
Mhm.
quote.
Yeah.
So, because it really like that's Jane Eyre. Like I feel like
Mhm.
she could do a lot, and that's part of the reason why I think she left Rochester the first time. Part of it because she was like feeling cooped up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also, like Rochester was, how old was he? He was 35, right?
Yeah.
How
old was she?
She was only 18. I know.
I mean, I guess it's during that time.
It's like exactly like Marianne and what's his name? Captain Brandon.
Yeah.
Basically, that's yeah.
But yeah, I like Emma with that age difference. I'm like, oh, that's so cute. And this I'm like, ugh, I hate that. But
I just hate like I and it's still like common today. I hate that like women are only seen, especially like in the Hollywood movie industry, like Dan Stevens is 35 years old. He's playing the Beast. Emma Watson's 26. Like, if you got a 35-year-old playing Belle, that you would never see that. And it's the same thing. Like, we see it in this book. We see older men getting younger women, and it's like, why don't it's like when we get older, no one cares about women anymore, especially like in Hollywood, because our youth is gone, beauty is gone.
Unless you're Meryl Streep.
Oh yeah, I think in during that period was because like childbearing years.
Yeah,
I think part like life expectancy and all that. Because men can have children like until they die, but we only have like a certain time. But I think I don't know now in Hollywood, but I think back then that was the reason because men waited until they had their fortune to have children, but women were like, "It's time, let's start."
Yeah. What did you think of?
Sorry, I just wanted to remind everyone that the April book of the month is Anne of Green Gables. Just wanted to, and there's going to be a Netflix series.
Yes.
May, which I didn't know until after we were like, yeah, let's read Anne of Green Gables. But
Anne of Green Gables is so good. I'm so excited. What was I gonna say? I had a thought and I just I think I lost it. Dang it.
I have one.
No.
What do you think of What I noticed a lot was the like rivalry between Blanche and Jane, and I think you were talking about this earlier, Maureen, when Jane was like tearing down Blanche. Oh my gosh, it was horrible.
No, there was the part where she is literally trying. I think this is why I related, and I still kind of relate to this part of Jane. She's trying to talk herself out of liking Rochester by putting him with someone else and comparing him to somebody else. And that was before she even met Blanche. She's like, draw yourself and all your flaws and draw the most perfect human being you can ever see and look at them and be like, okay, this is why it's not happening. And I mean, I kind of still do that, like talk myself out of trying to like people. But it's just, that's what I like relate to. And that's just such a like interesting scene. And I feel like Jane also changes a lot. That's what I was going to talk about is when I was reading Spark Notes, hashtag yes, they talked about just for like chapters at the end, just to refresh myself because I read them really fast. They talked about how Rochester, the first time she like would have married him, if she had stayed with him, that would have been her forgetting her principle and going full on with her passion. And then with St. John, St. John, with St. John, it's like the opposite, where she would have gone completely with her principle and left out her passion, and she needed like a happy medium between the two. And so she needed both of those experiences to really figure out like, this is what I want.
I love that. I love that you can see that in a human being's life, that they need to go through some of this heartache and heartbreak and hard times for them to truly find happiness in life. I think that's so wonderful portrayal in this story.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I loved, because we don't get to see her meet her cousins or in a lot of the adaptations aside from the TV shows. But she's more happy that she has family than getting this fortune from her deceased uncle. I love that.
Splits it up with all of them, which I thought was nice, because like she had like that's a big sum of money back then, and she's grown up with nothing, and so I feel like that really shows who she is as a person, because she really is a good person, like deep down, and she wants to be able to share it with people because she's been alone like her entire life. And that's why I'm really surprised that that's not in the adaptations, because it's so important that she has family now. Mm-hmm. And then Sinjin gets creepy, but I mean the rest of it, and I feel bad.
All them marrying cousins.
What?
I said all them marrying cousins.
That's just, I'm happy we've gone past that in society. I'm happy we're past the incest portion. People were wondering, yeah, so we were talking about it being like a Gothic inspired book. And I'm just kidding. People were agreeing with us. That's it. I thought there was like a question coming up, but they're like, yeah. Okay. Do you guys have any other questions or discussion topics before we wrap this up?
I'm trying to think. I feel like I'm just like, let me tell you about all these videos. I just looked over to my shelf, and Katie from Vincent Van Stapp got me this book that's really funny called Text from Jane Eyre, and it's text between literary characters, and it's super funny. And so they have like, it's like referencing different stuff in different books, but they have the Jane Eyre ones, and they are super funny. You guys should check it out. It's like hashtag recommendations for everything.
Caitlin said, do you find the ending satisfying? And I do. I think it's almost a little bit, not really. I was like, it's almost a little bit too satisfying, but I'm like, nah, he loses an arm in his sight. But I think it's nice that she could like help him in a way, in the way that like he helped her.
Yeah. I think she needed that. She needed them to be on like the same level.
Yeah, and I feel like it's bad that it had to take that tragedy for that to happen. But also, it's like,
No, it's a good thing. It makes them stronger as people.
Yeah, and it makes them a little bit more equal as like the fact that she goes back when she has money. I think that helped her in that relationship. The fact that they were like more equal than they were in standing before that point.
like he lost his hand because he was like going back to get his servants and stuff, which I love because it's always that thing
And
like
Bertha.
yeah, and well Bertha, but like you can tell like what type of person they are by like how they treat their inferiors, and he went back and sacrificed himself for his servants. So I love that.
Yeah.
And I oh never mind.
I have to open my door. I apologize.
Oh my goodness.
I think my mom's going. My dog's freaking out again. She's literally at the door like.
I can't think, what was her name? The little French girl. Why can't I think of her name?
Adele.
Adele. How'd you feel about her? What?
I was singing an Adele song.
Oh.
Sorry.
Yeah, when I first heard Adele, like I was reading it. That's all I can think of every time.
I also think, I have one more thing. I kind of was mad at mostly Mrs. Fairfax, but also the servants. Whenever all of them knew that he was going to marry Jane, I'm sure they were like under strict orders not to say, but like they all knew her so well by that point. I feel like someone would have told her about Bertha. Somebody.
I don't know.
Okay, so they said that they didn't know, but they definitely acted like they knew. Like, remember when the servants were talking about Grace Poole?
I thought they were just talking about how much money she had.
They were talking about, they were like, I wouldn't want to do that job, but she makes good money doing it. That's basically what their conversation was.
Oh. Well, at that point, I still thought she was a seamstress, so I didn't actually cross that.
I thought you didn't know.
Yeah.
I knew everything about the story, so I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I thought it was nice that I went in not knowing anything because I was very surprised. Like, oh, twists, turns. Oh my goodness! At first, it was a little slow, so I'm like, I didn't know how I would like it, but then definitely picked up.
Yeah, the first third, like even though it's interesting to read about her childhood, it's a little rough at the beginning. And I always start out reading this book like, why is this one of my favorite books? And then I get like past that point, I'm like, oh yeah, I got it. I'm good.
It was just so depressing at the beginning. I'm like, I don't want to read like 5 billion pages worth of this, but
yeah, they went through it pretty quickly.
You got to go through the rough parts to get to the magic. Okay, I think that's the end of our chat on Jane Eyre. I'm sad that Hannah couldn't come back, but we'll get her next time. Our book of April is Anne of Green Gables. And I love Anne of Green Gables, so I'm really excited. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Remember that all of the links to all of these lovely ladies are down in the description box, so you definitely have to check them out. If you don't, I'm coming for you. Okay, goodbye.
Wait, hold on, wait.
What?
We're also part of Fiction Faction.
Oh yeah. I love that name.
Yeah, so besides so we came up with it. Besides reading classics, we are reading A Crown of Wishes by Roshni Chokshi. Do you have it?
I have it, but it's on the floor.
It's up there.
Right there.
That's what we're reading this month as well, if you want to join that discussion, which is on my channel on May 5th. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yay. Okay.
Thanks for spending time with us, and we'll see you all next month. Toodaloo, my friends.
Bye.